This one concept will completely change how you think about wall ball. Players constantly come to me and say wall ball doesn't get them better anymore, but the issue is them, not the wall. So I can guarantee you, if you want better stick skills, score more goals, or clear better, this video is for you. And these lessons have come hard-earned after years of playing wall ball every day and studying thousands of hours of film on this channel. So most players, when they go and they come to the wall, they sort of just throw it against there. Maybe they split a couple times and they call it a day. And when you start doing this early in your career, this is actually helpful. Like just getting out and getting reps in, it is very helpful. Just every day getting consistency over and over and over. But the issue is once you're a year in, you're 2 years in, basic wall ball doesn't really do anything for you anymore. It just becomes like a game of consistency. You play wall ball so that you feel ready to practice, or you feel ready for the game next day. It becomes a tool to just maintain rather than actually improve at the sport. And I started to really think about, I had a lot of like disjointed thoughts around this, but it all kind of came together when one of my friends called me and he asked me how much I drop the ball when I'm playing wall ball. And it felt like kind of a weird question, but then I realized that it's actually probably the most important question, because dropping the ball is a sign of difficulty. And when we start to play more and more wall ball, we tend to drop it less and less, which feels like a good thing because we're getting better. But the issue is that we're not making it more difficult. We're not amping that up. So if you think about lifting, when we go and lift, like the first rule of lifting is to progressively overload. So you bench 135 this week, try and either bench 145 next week or up the reps, up the volume, up the intensity. That becomes very easy with a concept like lifting. But then when we think about something like wall ball, we kind of do the same thing every day and expect it to just compound because we're being consistent. But if you lifted the same weights every single week over and over and over, you know you'd hit a max pretty quickly and you wouldn't get any stronger. So these two concepts are the same thing, but they don't translate in our brains. Now, so what we need to do is we need to find the balance, right? When is wall ball too difficult that we're dropping it? And when is it too easy that we're always not dropping it? And you might say to me, well, Chris, like I've been playing for all these years. I never drop when I play wall ball. That's just because you're not amping the intensity up. So I'm not gonna give you specific wall ball drills in this video, but I wanna give you some strategies to make wall ball harder. One of the biggest levers to making wall ball harder is just moving. You'd be surprised how many people never move when they play wall ball. And if they do, it's kind of like maybe a little bit side to side. But I can tell you, when you're running full speed, up, down, side to side, passing, if you pass the wall and you run at the ball while it's coming at you, it becomes a lot harder. And if you become tired during that like session, it becomes hard to catch the ball because you're tired, resulting in more drops. So moving is something that I basically when I go out to the wall, I'll play like static wall ball for maybe 2 to 5 minutes, like some splits, whatever. And then after that, once I'm warmed up, almost everything I do is moving besides like quick sticks. Almost everything I'm running quick, backwards, I'm catching over the shoulder, I'm catching, splitting, running, catching, throwing. Because when you're in a game, think about how many times you're catching the ball or you're throwing the ball standing still. It is so minimal, yet all we do is practice standing still on the wall. So that's like the first level of it. If you're not already moving when you play wall ball, like seriously running, you're at a huge disadvantage of improving. Real quick, I just released a Agility podcast where it's a lot of content like this. I'm just talking straight into the mic, a little more free form. If you want more of this type of stuff, check the link in the description to check out the Agility podcast and get more lacrosse advice. Another tool is using a tennis ball. This is something that I've been doing a lot more recently, and maybe it's because I'm a pole, so I've seen more value out of it than maybe short stick would. But the tennis ball does a really good job of exposing your weaknesses. So with my left and my right hand, they feel almost equal. I think I have like a confidence gap, but if I do quick sticks the regular ball with my left hand, and I go to my right hand, I do quick sticks, it feels exactly the same. But I take a tennis ball out and I start doing quick sticks. Right hand, I feel the exact same way as I would with the lacrosse ball. Left hand, I'm a complete mess. Like I drop it all the time, and it's like embarrassing because I thought that my left hand, my right hand were the exact same for at least quick sticks, because I've taken videos myself. In those videos, they look exactly the same, left hand, right hand on the regular ball. But as soon as I get that tennis ball out, it exposes so many weaknesses. I think that quick sticks are probably the best tool for tennis ball work, because you can't do much. I mean, you can, but when you throw it against the wall from longer distances, it doesn't bounce as much. So it's really getting close to the wall, being creative, quick sticks, stuff working on your handling. That's when you're really going to see the improvements with the tennis ball. And you can get out in the field, besides wall ball, get out in the field, have a partner, and do inside finishing with the tennis ball too. You'd be amazed how much it can improve your hands. The one thing I'd say with tennis balls is, for me, this isn't an issue, but I know some players who struggle with going from a tennis ball back to a regular ball. Not like in general, but in a short period of time. So if you're about to play before a game, or if you're about to go into a practice, I would maybe not use a tennis ball right before. Now, again, for me, I love using the tennis ball before, because then I put the lacrosse ball on my stick and I feel great. But for some people, the disconnect really like messes with their head. So I would test it out. It's not a hard set rule, but I don't want you guys to be using a tennis ball and then get mad at me for saying that it made you worse when you played in the game. The other thing is speed of release. Now, I just talked about quick sticks, but not even just quick sticks. One thing I've been working on a lot recently, because my main mode normally of making wall ball harder is running, right? But I have a torn ACL, so I can't run. So I'm planted into the ground with doing wall ball. So releasing faster on not just quick sticks, but on everything has become kind of my biggest tool for making wall ball more difficult, specifically on splits. So I'll sit around 6-7 yards back, and I'll throw the ball at the wall at a point on it. We'll talk about that in a second. But a point on the wall, I'll catch it and as fast as I possibly can, I'll split to my left hand and try to release. Now, this seems obvious, but going to like the maximum, like your maximum ability of splitting and throwing, it gets tiring. Like if you, and like throwing hard against the wall so it comes back at you fast, and splitting, I can really only go for 45 seconds before my shoulders are completely burnt out, and like purely as fast as I can. Because you might say you're going as fast as you can, but if you're going for 3 minutes straight, like you're not going as fast as you can. I know you're not. So it's really like you should be dropping, like hitting as hard as you can, catching, splitting as fast as you possibly can. And that'll work on your catch and split when you go back to shoot. It's stuff like that that we just don't seem to translate when we think about playing on the wall. The last bit that I've been doing a lot when I go on the wall is picking a point. Now, this is kind of elementary or whatever. Everyone talks about this, but picking a point on the wall, whether it's like a spot or whether you actually put like an X on the wall, and really just hammering away at that point. And I think this does more for your focus rather than actually making it more difficult, because it really does make it more difficult. And what it does is it kind of puts this goal in your head that you have to hit the point every single time. And instead of zoning out when you do the wall ball and just kind of throwing and catching it mindlessly, you kind of always have to be focused, because you're always focused trying to hit that one point on the wall. So over and over, I'll notice if I sort of lose my focus, I'll start missing the point. And that becomes the indicator that I've lost my focus. Because when you lose focus, especially in wall ball, you don't notice it a lot of the time. Like you start thinking about homework or something you have to do, you don't notice that's happened until a minute or 2 minutes after. But when you're trying to hit one point in the wall over and over and over and over, you start to stray away from it before you know, when you lose your focus, before you notice you lose your focus. So it becomes this tighter feedback loop of focus. And for long poles out there, a really useful tool for this is long passes. So I'll stand like 30-40 yards back from the wall and then try to hit a point on the long pass. That makes it so that long passing is actually useful, because if you just sit back like 40 yards and throw it at the wall, you're not going to get any better long passing. But when you actually pick a point on the wall from very far away, it becomes really hard to hit like a small X or a small stain on the wall from 40 yards. And that becomes your way of improving. How close can you get to that X over and over and over and over? So if you take anything away from this video, drop the ball more. Like, make it harder. It's like that concept of when you're in a practice and your coach is telling you that you should be making mistakes, just the right mistakes. That's what this is. If you're never making any mistakes, if you're never dropping the ball, you're not going to improve. And that concept's like super well known and people understand that, but when they don't transfer it to skills that are more monotonous, like the wall. So I want you to reframe your brain and think about wall ball in a different fashion. You should be dropping it. It should be difficult, but find that in between where you're not dropping like every single time, but dropping it a good amount and it's difficult. And when it's harder like that, you'll maintain focus more, because easy things, it's really easy to, stray off in your brain, but really hard things, you get really frustrated. So it's finding that little flow state right in the middle. And I can promise you, you will see huge improvements in your wall ball skills. Real quick, the other thing that's really important besides wall ball is lifting. And a lot of lacrosse players mess it up. They lift like bodybuilders. They get stronger, but they get less mobile. And then when they go to play wall ball, they find that they can't split very fast because they're kind of a big hunk. That's why I want to give you a completely free lacrosse lifting plan in the description. It has 4 days of lifts and a speed day included, so that you can just show up to the gym and follow it and know you'll get faster, stronger, and more athletic. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this.